tonight I'm going to be doing my class on dream interpretation. Dream interpretation is a fun and ancient activity. Let's face it, humans dream. I think we all know our pets dream. We have, you know, and it doesn't take long for somebody to say, oh, if they're dreaming, oh wow, that reminded me of this, and see what, oh, maybe this is something important. That's where it came from. We go back to ancient Egyptian has papyruses on how to interpret dreams. If you are eaten by a crocodile, your wife is unfaithful. That kind of.
Say that again.
If you're eaten by a crocodile, then your wife is unfaithful.
Oh, have wife.
And anyway, well, you're not an ancient Egyptian. One thing we can say that is fairly certain, they had, in China, they had dream interpretation books. In the Middle Ages, they had dream interpretation books. In Tudor England, they had dream interpretation books. They have dream interpretation books in every airline counter. Everybody does dream interpretation. That's okay, because we have, because everybody wants to know what their dreams mean. And I think a lot of the people who are here now probably want to know what their dreams mean. I think the big problem is, if you go to one of these little books, they will tell you, if you dream of a house, that means this. If you dream of a cat, it means that. If you dream of, and they'll go through the symbols. The symbols are different depending on what culture you're in. Modern people can't use the Egyptian dream interpretation books. Modern people can't really use the modern dream interpretation books. There is a case I read about in the Fate magazine of a man who, every time he dreamed of a cat, knew that he would get a cold 3 days later. Now that's really useful to, it's useful for him, but it doesn't work that way for most of us. I remember another story about someone who was being, somebody was helping her psychologist was helping her with her dream interpretation, and she was saying, I was drinking polecat ginger ale, and she said, well, what's a polecat? She's like, I don't have any idea. And she had to look it up. And they said, it means skunk. So obviously you're saying that your husband is a skunk. She said, I already knew that. But she didn't know what a polecat was. Okay, now the question is, did she know what a polecat was subconsciously? And this was her subconscious giving her this message. Or perhaps, was it not her subconscious? Maybe it was, she didn't know what that word was. But it certainly meant something to her psychiatrist, who seemed happy that she recognized that her husband was a skunk. So when I am teaching classes on dream interpretation, you have to be aware of how symbolism works. And you're going to be working within your own personal symbolism. You're going to be working probably within the symbolism of your culture. If you have spent a lot of time studying ancient Egypt, you may very well have adopted some of those cultures into your dream symbolism meanings. If you have so there's the symbol. So you got to be aware of the symbols, but you also need to be aware that there's a lot of different kinds of dreams. You can interpret symbolic dreams. I mean, that's where Jung and Freud and those people were involved. Now,
Freud is a hack who was picked by his patrons.
Yes, we are all aware that Freud, okay, yes, okay, just in case those people, there may be people here who are not aware, Freud worked within his cultural paradigm. His cultural paradigm was very big on looking at ancient Greek myths, but at the same time, it could not believe that all of these women who were telling Freud that they had been abused by their fathers and uncles could possibly, of course, these nice old men weren't doing that, so obviously these women had Electra complexes or Oedipus complexes, because within their culture, that was the only way they could look at it. So when we are looking at interpretation, we should always be careful to pay attention to what the culture is doing. Another important thing that we really need to look at is what's happening to you personally. There is an entire subset of dreams which are simply your body is feeling something, and therefore, in order to retain consistency, your body creates images in your head to explain that feeling. So if you're cold, your dreams put you in the Arctic. If you are falling out of the bed, your dreams will have you falling down a mountain or falling off a ladder or something, because you have a sensation in your body, and so your dream will make it consistent. This is why eating the pepperoni pizzas or whatever will give you indigestion is supposed to cause nightmares. Well, it does, because the feeling of having indigestion is really, really close to the feeling of fear. And so if you're feeling that queasiness, then your brain generates something scary to justify, why am I feeling a tightening in my stomach? You can't always say, oh, I'm being chased by a monster. Maybe there's a monster in my life somewhere. Maybe my boss is a monster. Overinterpretation is the thing that gets in the way for most dreams. Other types of dreams that you can get into are telepathic dreams. You can visit your friends telepathically while you're asleep. Our psychic abilities are a lot more loosened when we are not wearing our bodies. So when you go to sleep, or when you are in a trance state, we'll go into trance states so that we can do these cool things, but we sleep almost every night. So you can do a lot of cool stuff in dreams, and there's a whole lot of psychic experiments that have been done by the paranormal community to find out, to play with telepathic communication while in your sleep. Other types of dreams are psychic ones. There are hundreds of flashes. Okay, I'm going to show my age, and anybody here who is also as old as I am may remember there was a horrible tragedy where a landslide in Wales poured coal down on top of a school, and hundreds of little children were killed, and it was very sad. Before that, there were hundreds and I think thousands of dreams written down who were that mentioned something that they later they said, well, I think this may have been a prophetic dream about that. None of them were clear enough to give it any usefulness, but afterwards they could say, oh shoot, yeah, that suddenly being encompassed in black, suddenly feeling crushed, being in school and suddenly being afraid. Lots of things had many of the points in it, but they didn't. But that is typical. just a quick question. Could somebody unmute themselves and tell me if you can hear the giggling in the background?
Yes, we can.
Okay, girls, could you be quieter because they can hear you? Thank you. Anyway, so yes, when you're not wearing your body, when you're asleep, your psychic abilities come out. So you can get psychic stuff. You can also use it for inspiration. One very famous example of inspiration was when Singer was trying to invent the sewing machine, and he dreamed that he was tied to a stake in Africa, and the natives were using him for target practice, and he noticed that the spears had holes in the points, which it made an interesting whistling sound, and he woke up and he said, put the hole in the point of the needle, duh! And the sewing machine was born. Dreams can help you get around the logic that your waking brain puts in the way and help solve problems. Many, many people suggest as you're falling asleep, if you have a problem that you haven't been able to work out, think about what the problem is, tell yourself you will learn what the answer to your problem in your dream, and then you will and then you'll dream it. You may have to, like Singer, take a certain leap of awareness or logic to say, right, I do not need natives to throw spears at me. I simply need to put the hole in the point of the needle instead of the hole in the tip of the spear. So some interpretation may be necessary even when you're doing that. There is symbolism. One of the most, if you do go to dream books, and they aren't totally useless. I'm going to say they're mostly useless, but they aren't totally useless. One of the things they can do is to help you learn how to use symbols to help yourself. For instance, when one of the most common symbols of your life is your car. And I don't know how many of you may have or may have not seen yourself driving a car. And that symbolizes your feeling of how much control you have over your life. It's a really good symbol because, say, when I was a kid, I used to almost always dream that I was in the back seat. When I was a little kid, I was in the back seat. When I was a married lady, I frequently dreamed I was in the passenger seat. Now, symbolically, that means I'm not running my own life. And then when I'm running my own life more, I more frequently find myself in the driver's seat. This is a really good symbol. It works. It can tell you things. Frequently, my dream, when I dream that I'm driving a car, the car does not respond. I think either the brakes don't work, or I turn the wheel one way and it goes another way. I think a lot of us may be having dreams like that right now, because a lot of times, even though you're in charge, you're supposed to be directing your own life, you're not in control of it. But if you look at the dreams, I suggest, rather than getting terribly symbolic, one of the things that you can do is simply look at it and say, don't look at the symbols. Don't look up a house or look up an alligator or look up a cat. Or take all the symbols out. Take everything out. What did you feel in the dream? Because if you take what you're feeling in the dream, I remember one dream when I felt I was being buried in babies. That was when I had 2 or 3 children, very small children, and I woke up and I like, okay, taking all the symbols out, what did I feel? I felt I was buried in babies. Well, yeah, I can relate to that. And so if my feeling is, if you are if you've got a dream and you think it is it's meaningful. Ignore the various symbols and just say, how did I feel? And those feelings of, okay, now does that feeling relate to anything that's going on in my life? I feel like I'm being chased. I feel that I cannot find something. I feel that I have somehow failed in my responsibilities to take care of small innocent things that I should be taking care of. Those feelings, you can then say, okay, that's what the feeling is. And now what in my real life does that relate to? That is. Other things you do want to do is look for your personal symbols, because there will be personal symbols. Oh, which reminds me of a cool other thing. I really have to talk about lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is when you're aware that you're dreaming. I don't know how many of you do have experienced lucid dreaming, have tried lucid dreaming, but lucid dreaming is when you're aware that you're asleep. It is especially useful when you have nightmares, especially if you're having chronic nightmares. Because if you can give yourself the message that if I have that stupid nightmare again, I will be aware of it. And one of the things you can use to do that is to send a symbol into your dream. Send a 4-leaf clover, or send a Bridget's cross, or send some small thing that can be in, suddenly you're in your haunted house and you see there's a rose there. And it's like, the rose, right, I'm dreaming. That's the rose I sent myself. Then you have more control over the dream. And you can have more control. One of the things, as when you're asleep, as when you're awake, you don't always have control over the environment. But the more awareness you have, the more control you have over how you behave. And in a dream, frequently that's the most important thing, is to know that, is to change the way you behave. There's a culture in the South Pacific, I believe, and I have forgotten which island it was. I knew it once, where while the kids are growing, the adults come in. And this is to me a very strange thing, because oddly enough, the adults woke first before the kids. Oh, really? How they managed that, I don't know. But they would go in beside the kids, and when the kids woke up, they would say, "Tell me what you dreamed." And if the dream was a problem for them, they would say, now you have to go right back to sleep and deal with that problem. Because dealing with the problem in your sleep helps you deal with whatever that problem represents when you're awake. Well, I thought this was the smartest thing. I loved the idea that a culture, an entire culture, respected that the dreams actually meant something. And I dreamed very shortly thereafter that I was being chased by this very great hulking guy. And there's this thing that you may have heard, that if you die in your dreams, then you'll die and then you won't wake up. It's like, I have died tons of times in my dreams, and experienced lots of things, from becoming a ghost to reincarnating or whatever. But one of the things is, if you get to the point where you'd probably faint in your waking life, you probably will wake up. And so I got so scared with this guy who was chasing me. I got chased through the kitchen, and I grabbed a knife and I threw it. And unlike in any kind of reality, in which case it would not hit squarely, it actually sank in. And he, that was what I did when I went back to sleep. I was so scared, I woke up, I said, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix it. I grabbed the knife, I threw it at him, it sunk in his chest, and he looked up at me and he said, "You hurt me." and started walking toward me again. And I said, screw that. Lovely theory. I'm waking up again. And I woke up and said, okay, not dealing with that kind of thing. I was like, no. Okay, if you have an entire culture that will support you and help you deal with your dreams, lovely. However, bringing an awareness that you are dreaming is lucid dreaming, and it helps you to be able to do it. Now, there is another variety of dream where you can realize that you are asleep, and that's what I call recreational dreaming. In my experience, the dreams that you have that are deeply important happen in the first 2 or 3 dream cycles of the night. The dreams that you dream just before you wake up in the morning, when you probably could get up, if the alarm clock rang and you could get up and probably go shower and get on with your work, but no, you're actually getting 8 hours of sleep, yay, and you're sleeping. Those dreams are usually wish fulfillment dreams. Those are usually the dreams that will allow you to go flying, to breathe underwater, to do all of the things that you would like to do, to open up a closet and it's full of your own wall. You can do all kinds of cool things in those dreams. Those can be lucid dreaming, but whether they're lucid or not, often the last dreams of the night are not as useful. So if you want to, and this is a thing, if you want to get utility from your dreams, you have to remember them. Some people remember them easily, some people don't remember them easily. One of the best ways of getting to the point where you remember your dreams is to write a dream journal. If you write down what your dream was, you can then remember it. Most people don't remember their dreams for the same reason they don't remember their childhood. They don't care about them. They don't think it's important, and so they just wipe it out of their memory and move on with it. They don't care about their dreams any more than they care what they had for breakfast yesterday. It's not an issue. So, but if you want to remember your dreams, if you want to learn from them, if you want to work from them or work with them, then you try and remember them. And the more you try and remember, the better you can remember. My experience and the experience of friends who have done this, if you start keeping a journal, you start remembering, and you spend 5 minutes writing down your dreams, and then the next week you're spending 15 minutes writing down your dreams, and the next month you're spending an hour writing down your dreams, or I got to 2 hours and I said, wait a minute, this is stupid. I'm spending 2 hours of my day writing down my dreams. No, what you want to do is you want to go through your dreams, review them in your head. Now keeping a dream journal is a good way to begin to remember your dreams. That's a good thing. But at some point, when you have gotten to the point where you can remember your dreams, what you want to do is say, which of the dreams meant something? Which of the dreams am I supposed to be paying attention to? It's like if you're journaling in your waking state. Some of the things are important, and the key to journaling is that you just write everything down, and eventually the important stuff starts coming through. So you have to kind of do that with the dreams until you start remembering your dreams. But at some point, it's not enough to remember. You have to actually start listening to them, looking at them, and judging which of the things that you're supposed to be learning from, and which of the things are recreational dreams, which are the things you're not supposed to. What can you discard, and what do you need to work with? That's important. So if you don't remember your dreams yet, if you only remember the occasional nightmare, sorry about that, then you should probably try if not journaling, at least jot down 1 or 2. I will tell you, you will probably have the experience that many people I know have had, which is you say, that was brilliant. I have to write that down. You grab the pen and paper beside the bed, you write it down, you wake up in the morning and you say, what the heck did that, your first is like, yes, I wrote down that brilliant thing. What was it? And I can't read that. So, yeah.
Are you accepting questions now, or would you prefer at the end?
I'll take a question now.
Okay, so when I was a young adult, I astral traveled and asked not to see any more dreams because I was having such horrible nightmares and walking in my sleep and all that jazz. And now I can't remember dreams even if I try. Is there any way to undo that?
Yes, there is. And one of those, and the first thing you do is it's like doing a tarot reading or anything else. You have to ask the right question. To take off the block, the first work you have to do is to take off the block. And so you basically give yourself that, you program your brain to say, I need to know what the lesson was I needed to learn. The chances are actually pretty good that you already did learn the lesson, but the block is still up. You just hadn't taken the block down. So that may be what you need. And you could probably actually totally bypass that by using some form of divination that you're good at. And say, has the reason I had to have that blocked passed? And if the answer to that is yes, then you say, then I want that block to come down, and you start working on it. If you say, no, it isn't, and it's like, okay, what do I need to work with? Once you have figured out what it is you need to work on, then you can start, the block can come down. You give yourself the instruction that the block will come down at will. But it's really important to start out with, do I still need it? Because it might be something, that you do still need. It may be that you need it until you have dealt with a certain problem. Many nightmares, for instance, it could be something as simple as there was something really awful going on in your childhood that isn't going on now, or you do need to work out, oh, that's no longer a risk for me. But you still have to deal with it because you're a child that's still dealing with it. Or it could be, for instance, that you were allergic to something and it was creating nightmares because of something you used to eat and you don't eat now. You don't know that until you have checked it out. And when you've checked it out, then you can start working on that. Do you think that answers the question?
Yes, I think it answers the question.
Okay, it's a
one
good
away.
question. You have a question? Nope.
I see. Oh, there you are.
Okay. But you did bring up, you were going out of body experience. That is something you can do. I was fascinated by out of body experiences. It was very big in the late 60s, early 70s. And so I tried going out of body and going to certain addresses. If you don't know anybody there, it's kind of pointless. I got lost many times on the way to visit people who I was going to visit in dreams to see if we could make that experiment work. Out of body traveling is something you can do, but it's going to take you practice. Another thing that I've found and seen references to, your dreams may be glimpses of other lives. If they are glimpses of other lives, if they are essentially memories, you're not going to change them. You might be able to change the past. That's another subject for another class, but if it's a glimpse of another life, okay, just logic. This is a theory. This is a Tchipakkan theory, so you can just take it for what it's worth. We are multidimensional beings. Why the heck would we only live serially? I know that when the Dalai Lama dies, then they figure he is going to be reborn the same day as he died, and that's how one of the ways that they find out who was the next Dalai Lama. That's very useful for them to find him. But for most of us, why shouldn't we have a lifetime in Rome and then have a lifetime in the Second World War, and then have a lifetime in caveman days, and then have a lifetime, and one in Peru and one in, okay, now once you've wrapped your mind around that you don't need to be serial because time doesn't exist on outside of our own construct, then you can go and you can get born in different spaces. Can't you do simultaneous? Why is it can be possible that we are living, I might be a small child in Peru in the 8th century, whilst at the same time, another part of my soul is incarnated in as a peasant in Russia in the 13th century. And each of these experiences will feed our core soul. But sometimes you're just going to see things. And my way of saying, is this another lifetime? Is do you keep going back to that same thing? If you keep going back and having what I'd call serial dreams, the same people in the dreams, and more importantly, the reality of the dream doesn't change. If you are in a place that stays the same place until you change, you wake up or switch to another dream, that may very well be a glimpse of another lifetime that you're having in another body right now.
I don't want to interrupt, but can you hear me?
Yep. Do you want to mute your microphone?
Can you hear me? Because
I can't.
Kathy unmuted me.
Ah.
I have dreams frequently, and they're very nice dreams, that I fly. And I can drop from great distances and just land lightly on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes invent a helicopter that's made out of glass all around so you can see through the bottom, and I fly around in that. But those are about the only dreams that are repetitive, are flying dreams. What do you think?
My best guess would be that would be your recreational dream. I think that sounds like I'm having a good time, especially if it's pleasant.
It's very pleasant. It's a lot of fun. Oh my God, I wish I could do it.
Yeah, well, when I was a naughty little child, I dreamed that when I realized I was dreaming, I would go underwater and stay underwater because I could breathe water, and listen to everybody freak out because they thought I was drowning. Okay, naughty kids. That's a recreational dream. And as I say, I think the recreational dreams are the ones that happen last thing before you wake up. I think that's just having fun with it. I think we also sometimes leave our bodies to check out different futures. If you ever feel that you are in what would be a future life for you, but it's slightly different, like somebody is dead that shouldn't be dead, or somebody's alive who wasn't alive. I think that as was displayed in Back to the Future, there's divergent paths. And I think that maybe in our dreams, we go into this future and into that future, which allows us to come back into the now we're living and choose the future that we want to be a part of. So if you're dreaming about a future that it looks like a possible future or even a possible now, but it's slightly different, that might not be prophetic. It might not be psychic. What it might be is you just doing an out-of-body experience to check which direction you're taking your life in. And possibly that's what accounts for deja vu, because you've gone to several different places and then you've chosen this path and you get to it and now suddenly you're doing the thing. It's like, I've been here before, I've done this before. Yeah, you did, because you checked it out, because you're smart.
To me, it seems like I'm just having fun. It's something I would like to be able to do, and I can only do it in my dream. So
Yep.
I do it in my dream.
Well,
Doesn't
I
that
think
make
those are
sense?
recreational dreams. I think that a lot of our, we can do so many things. If you're going to have one takeaway from this class, it's that there are lots of different kinds of dreams, and they do different things for us. And there's nothing wrong with having a dream where you are, making out with your favorite movie star, because why not?
I'm gonna try that.
Recreational dreams. So but there's so many different things we can do when we're not wearing our bodies, when our inner selves are a lot more practiced. How many of the people who are here have worked in their dreams in exercising some psychic ability, whether it is telekinesis or creating a fire with your mind, or any of those things? Because
I'm not that creative.
But a lot of people who are interested in psychic phenomena, when you're asleep, you can do that. When I was a teenager, I used to dream of working at some of you are too young to remember manual typewriters. But
I have one.
But manual typewriter is a great way to mentally focus down to a very, very small, put pressure on a specific place. And of course, when I was first starting, I would pick up flowers and crumpled papers and things. And then I got to picking up heavier things. I think we are, in our dreams, working on our natural psychic abilities, which are then blocked when we wake up, because it is important. Because frankly, we don't have the, shall I say, chill? We don't have the spiritual awareness to handle the amount of natural psychic ability that we have. If we did that, we would be causing so much uproar in the world that maintaining psychic ability as something that we should not have, that doesn't exist, is a really useful, mutually agreed upon reality. So
my dreams where I work problems out are the morning dreams?
I think that the dreams in the middle of the night, which I'm afraid sometimes are more likely to include your nightmares. Your working dreams are your first and second sleep cycles. And the later sleep cycles are the ones where you are more likely to be just relaxing and having fun. I mean, it's like you go to work, you work your 9-to-5 job, and then you come home and you have dinner and you watch TV and do puzzle or whatever. Same thing when you're asleep. You get your work done first. But remember, before you start thinking, oh, there's something horrible there, remember that your body also interacts, and your brain will create images depending on what the physical thing is. So make sure that wherever you're sleeping is fairly comfortable. Make sure that if you are having a disturbing dream, that the feeling of unease, the images aren't necessarily, they could be created to explain the fact that your stomach is upset because you drank too much pickle juice while you're out working in the garden. I know a lot of people are doing that now. Facebook is full of people telling people to drink pickle juice. It's good for you, right? Well,
I had that problem.
moderation. But you need to figure out what your own personal symbolism is. And that is another thing that you can work out when you are working with a dream journal. You can say, if this, then that.
I do remember as a teenager having dreams over and over and over again of someone chasing me, and it was scary. Someone was chasing me. And then one night, this very handsome man grabbed a hold of me and
It's 9 o'clock.
scared me. And I never had the bad dreams again because I had someone taking care of me.
Well, I think that's you working it out with your own symbolism.
Okay.
That's what it makes. I know we started late. Kathy, do you think we should continue recording or not?
Well,
Because-
it's up to you. I don't see any real harm in going over a little bit if you're not finished with your material.
Well, I've mentioned most of the things I had in my notes, and I've given you the takeaway, which is remember to analyze your dreams because you're going to have personal reasons for. Remember that there are different kinds of dreams. Figure out what kind of dream it is, and then use that to figure out why. Anytime there is a repeated dream, this is your subconscious saying, hey, wake up. No. Hey, look at this. Sorry, it isn't necessarily saying wake up. Occasionally it does.
So is that the same for?
Hmm?
Is that the same for someone who walks in their sleep and does horrible things in their sleep? That
Ooh.
it's your subconscious working in there?
Your body and your mind and your soul are hooked together. There's this wonderful thing that releases your body so that it does not do everything you're doing in your dream. As a matter of fact, that so that you can just relax and not run around. Sleepwalking is usually.
May I ask this person if they actually get out of bed and walk?
Some people do.
I have
Some
a therapy dog
that?
specifically aimed at. I have a therapy dog specifically aimed at keeping me in bed because I walk in my sleep, and I have buckled my child into his car seat. I have walked to the store.
Oh my God.
My
So
husband used to find me
Clearly
in my
your mind and
bathroom.
body, your mind and body are very, very connected, and you have, okay, now you are the same person who was saying, I had this, I don't remember my dreams. I think that may have something to do with the block that you have. You put a block on you, and at the same time, you've taken the normal average block off that keeps your body from doing what you're dreaming about. So I think you've got work to do. But, and oh yeah, this is another thing that a lot of people haven't, I haven't mentioned. The dead can come to speak to you in your dreams. Your beloved dead, after they have had, depending on the culture, it can be anywhere from 3 to 40 days. They will often come back and spend time with you, and you get lovely visits. Don't think that's your imagination. Don't think that's wish fulfillment. That basically means that you are speaking to your dead loved ones. So that's okay.
Well, that's what I had tried to attempt to block, is that I was continually getting out of bed to follow my brother because he passed away when I was 3 and he was 18 months. So when that started interfering with my adult life, I went into block it all. I still get out of bed, but I don't dream anymore.
I think you probably have to work on that block, because I think you want it, you want to be, you want it working like everybody else's. There is a phenomenon, the picture I used for the post this for this week on Facebook is a wonderful picture of a nightmare. Henry Fuseli's painting of Nightmare. I think it's in Detroit Museum of Art. The sensation of having something compressing on your chest so you can't breathe, and what they call sleep paralysis, that is when your consciousness becomes aware of that you are about to wake up, but you haven't had that block taken off your body, which can be really scary if you suddenly are awaking and you can't move your body. You have no ability to move. That paralysis can be very scary, and that fear brings on a lot of really interesting nightmare images. So we do need to. There's a wonderful intersection between the cultural, spiritual way of looking at dreaming and the science that they have looked into dreaming since too. It's a wonderful thing. But yeah, I think that you probably do need, you messed up. There would probably have been too much risk of following your brother when you were younger. But as an adult, I think that maybe you can deal with that. I would say work with your higher self, work with journaling, and work with divination to see if you can get the appropriate blocks put in. Speaking as someone who had 15 minutes of chaos trying to work with the Zoom blocks tonight, look at it the same way. It is simply something that you need to learn. And it's a useful tool once you've mastered the various buttons that you need to push. So that makes sense to you, Amy?
It does.
Okay.
I think I have some work to do.
Okay. Is anyone else have questions? And that, let's see, you could either put them through the chat, or you could, I'd see, or if you unblock your own, unmute your own.
I think I'm very lucky on how I dream.
You are? I've had a lot of people bring very unhappy dreams to me, but your dreams are a gift and can help you heal. Psycho, what's the word? In the Asclepians, there was the ability to, in ancient Greece, people would sleep and the priests would come to them and ask them what their dreams were and help them work out a therapy for whatever their physical ailments were by looking at their dreams. This was a valid technique, and although some of the people who write about it say, well, it can't possibly have worked because it was only dreams. We will say that they probably wouldn't have made the large cash donations to the healing shrines if it hadn't worked pretty well. So I'm ready to stop if there are no other questions. Are there? Does anybody else have questions that they might want to make?
Yes, there was a question from someone who came late and wanted to know if they could get this, the beginning of it.
Well, the first 15 minutes wasn't anything happening. I believe on Facebook.
Can I get some quick notes on what I missed?
Hi.
Hi.
Most of the session is on Facebook Live. If you go to the Changing Times, Changing Worlds event, the event.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have
In about half an hour, the whole
here.
recording will be there. It takes a
Fantastic.
little
I'll watch
while
the recording.
to make its way.
That's fine.
Go
That's
back and
perfect.
watch it from the beginning. You'll catch the beginning.
Excellent.
And once we got our handle on the tech, we'll probably be putting it on YouTube, and that'll have the whole thing.
That's
But
wonderful.
we don't need that on YouTube.
I don't like YouTube.
So
Well, there's
So-
also privacy. Some people may want to chat here, but not have everything all over the internet.
and some people are busy between 8 and 9.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, but no, I think that the point that some people like their privacy is a very good point.
I
Oh,
have
yeah.
stopped the live stream now. I think we've
Okay,
ended
good.
the part
I
that should be
think
streamed.
we're ended. I think we're ended, and
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and